From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get on board.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
I'm pleased to get back to this conversation about emergency medical services, and I appreciate that Jamie Snider is joining us here. She is the executive director of West County Paramedics, which is a nonprofit regional EMS agency serving Western Erie County. Jamie, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Alrighty, we're a family show. Let's get an origin story. Did you come up in the West County, or are you transplanted?
Yeah, I was transplanted at about 11 years old. My dad worked for Bucyrus. Bucyrus closed, and years ago he ended up in Lake City, and my mom was like, we need to move because it's too hard on him to drive back and forth. So I grew up in mostly Girard is where I was at. So yeah, so definitely from West County.
You graduated, you're a yellow jacket?
I'm a yellow jacket through and through.
Yeah. Your background, though, is in education. Talk a little bit about your career journey a bit.
So I was one of the first first emergency medical technicians at West County Paramedic Association. I had started nursing school after high school and went to a year of it and decided, you know what, this just isn't for me. At the time, in order to remain on your parents' health insurance, you had to be in some sort of education. And I thought, well, this sounds interesting. You know, in EMT, how difficult can it be? So I was one of the first daytime classes at Emergent Care for training in 1991. Got my EMT, 91, a long time ago. Ended up getting my EMT and worked for a little while there, then ended up at West County, married, had children, and ended up there as their original EMT in 1995, was there for a while, and then left, went to Emergent Care, got injured, ended up realizing that without going back to college, I was not going to be able to forward myself in any type of a career. So decided that I was going to get my teaching degree because I enjoyed teaching CPR, enjoyed teaching aerobics, and I'm like, you know, how difficult can it be, right? So, and then I taught in Mill Creek for, I think 14 years is where I was. And,
in health and phys ed? Or?
No, I actually taught English language arts.
English language arts, okay.
What a departure,
there you go,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, COVID came around, and I had like semi-retired from EMS and hadn't really been done it in a while. My son decided to go to EMT class, which we were shocked because he wanted no part of this whole life. Went and became an EMT. We talked about it, and that kind of sparked that love again for me. And I thought, geez, you know, I kind of miss this. COVID hit, they needed help. I was able to reinstate myself because they were offering through the state of Pennsylvania, because of COVID, they were allowing people to just do continuing ed and get their license back. Started working at West County just part-time, and then it turned into every weekend. It turned into the entire summer while I was off. Then my son decided he was going to go get his advanced EMT and his paramedic, and I said, hey, why not? Let's go together. So we graduated together, and then I ended up realizing that my love for this was it's just where I needed to be. I ended up resigning as a teacher and working full-time as a paramedic, and then when the executive director position opened, I applied, and my forward-thinking board hired me out of obscurity and put me in the position I'm in now, and I've been in there about 18 months right now, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
So you are certified in both basic life support and advanced life support as a paramedic. And so, again, you're able to do almost anything. I push meds, the whole bit, right?
Yep, and I do pick up shifts on the regular basis. I'm on the streets. I don't feel that being a leader, if you're not actually out there on the street, that you can really understand what the crews are experiencing. So I do pick up shifts about once a week, and I'm out there with the crews running and love it. That's the best part of the job, is being out there and helping your community. It really is.
We've been covering this situation with ambulance service and EMS for as long as we've been on the air, at least 7 years. And I think it's important to reorient the listener about how this works, because all they know is they call 911 and an ambulance shows up. And like if you're in the city, you might get an Erie firefighter engine and Emergicare. If you live in Mill Creek, you might get MFD or Volunteer Fire Department and Mill Creek Paramedics. What happens in Girard, for
West
example?
County, well, it depends on which you're at. We are the regional EMS provider for Western Erie County. So that covers from Lakeshore, which is down obviously by Gate of Heaven Cemetery, all the way as far as the Ohio line in Springfield. We go as far south as Albion, Springboro, that area, and go as far north as the lake. So in Western Erie County, when you call 911, depending on where exactly you are living at that point, if you're in Fairview or Fairview Township, if you are in Girard, Lake City, Platia, Springfield, Albion Borough, you're going to get West County as the ambulance. If you're in Cranesville Borough, Elk Creek, or Conneaut, you're going to get West County for your advanced life support, but the basic life support will come from Cranesville Fire Department. But the other areas, primarily, you're going to get us. The volunteers in Girard and Lake City still have retained their ambulance. If they're able to get a crew together, they will provide a crew for basic life support, and then we will provide the advanced life support as needed. But if they're not able to, you are guaranteed that you're going to get an ambulance from West County one way or the other.
And do most of the volunteer fire departments roll first responders as you roll your ambulance?
During the daytime, no. Everyone's experiencing, crisis. People working now. The volunteer way that things used to be, 20, 30 years ago just isn't there. People aren't able to have that time carved out during the day to respond to emergencies like they used to be. In the evening, yes, we'll see a little bit more because people aren't working. But for the most part, it's primarily us that's on scene for most of the calls, except like in Cranesville, because they do have a paid service on.
Okay. So that's that's different than what other parts of the community, right? What is standard of care, I guess, is my question. How does that, why is it that the fire department rolls, let's say, in the city, whereas it may not have to roll in West County, for example?
I think in the city of Erie, they may have it set up for certain types of calls. It could be, I don't exactly know their situation. It could be if there's a delay. It could be the type of call that they have them go on. They do dispatch what's called QRS for us, which is quick response service. And if somebody's available, they will come. I will tell you, the higher acuity calls, we do get people that will come to help if it's a cardiac arrest or a very serious motor vehicle accident. A lot of times you will get somebody that will respond from the fire department for that.
Okay.
They do. But the things that are kind of more benign, they're lower acuity calls, usually they leave it to us to handle unless they really feel that they need it. The city...
And your fire department partners out in West County, are any of them paid staff?
Just Cranesville.
Just Cranesville. And that's why they're running their own ambulances.
Yeah, the rest of them are all volunteers, or some have given up their ambulance altogether. Fairview Fire Department, Lakeshore have given up their ambulance, Platia, Springfield, because they recognized they weren't able to do what they needed to do. And then during the day, actually all the time for Girard Borough, Girard Township, and Lake City Borough, West County is designated primary, which means that we, whether it's advanced life support or basic life support, we are dispatched in that call primary.
Again, as you observe this system, and we're only talking Erie County here, it could look totally different in Crawford, it could look totally different in Dauphin County and Harrisburg or whatever. Is it interesting to you or concerning even that there's a lot of different ways that people are approaching basic and advanced life support in Erie County?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I almost feel like we need to all get on the same page and start to regionalize resources and start putting things together rather than everybody struggling. It would be nice if there was a way that we all could be sharing the load together. And I don't know what that would look like. And that's something that maybe, the new county executive will address, as she gets further into her tenure. But I mean, if you take a look at it over the state, there's no one way people are doing things. There are ways that people are doing things in the state that are better than others, and there are ways that they're doing that are worse. But I almost feel like we need to come together as a group and figure out, like, how are we going to attack this together as the agencies? Does that mean, employee sharing? Does that mean resource sharing? Does it mean redivvying up areas? I don't know what that looks like, but that's something that we need to start looking at going forward, of how are we going to attack this before it becomes unsustainable. And that's kind of where I'm worried that we're heading.
I'm already hearing chatter, and again, the county executive was here last week, about if you have a low acuity call, 911 call, that you would maybe get on a punch list, if you will, on a route,
right?
That somebody will get to you, but if it's a ingrown toenail, which is horrible to say, but if it's some, you stubbed your toe, maybe you even broke your toe, you're not an immediate, life-threatening crisis. We're going to get to you, but it may not be in the next 7 minutes. It might be in 70 minutes.
Correct.
How does that feel to you guys in West County?
It's not affecting us the same way, because we are running. We actually, to be honest, we are actually overstaffed for the amount of calls that we have right now. But we do that for a reason, because we're also not only covering our own area, we're also covering surrounding areas around us. So we base not only on our current call volume, our current municipalities, we're basing on knowing that we're going to be pulled to other areas to help as well.
That's that whole mutual aid
Correct.
thing.
Yes.
Can you explain, again, let's keeping the cookies on the bottom shelf for our listeners. How does mutual aid work, and is there a limit to mutual aid?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So mutual aid works is when, I'll give you an example. West County Paramedics, during our daytime, we run two ALS trucks, which are advanced life support, out of our headquarters. We have a basic life support truck in our Fairview location, and then we have a basic life support truck running out of headquarters. And then in case of emergency, break glass, my office manager and I also can go on the road, because she's an she's an EMT and I'm a paramedic. So at any given time, we could have 5 trucks on the road if we needed to. There are times, and it does happen, where you will call for an ambulance in, just say Girard, and all 5 trucks are out. We've had 5 people call for an ambulance all at the same time, and we don't have any available resources. So what they would do is they would go to the next available department that had a resource that is what you need. So whether that's Central Erie County Paramedic Association, whether that's Cranesville for a basic life support, whether that's Mill Creek Paramedic Service bringing an ambulance out that way, that's how mutual aid works. We all have a mutual aid contract that we've all signed that says, if we get into a situation where we do not have an available resource, that we will cover for each other to make sure that that community member does not go without an ambulance when necessary.
And that's all coordinated by a software system that you all work off of.
Yep, the CAD system. Yep.
Yeah,
the 911 center.
It's a phone app. I've seen it.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, they have it programmed down to you would be shocked at the levels and layers that they have of this. How far they have it programmed down to where you go, who goes next, who's available. And there's glitches at times, but it's pretty amazing, and they do a very good job with it.
We've kind of introduced a conversation about EMS, and this has been a hot topic now for several years, and certainly even in during last year's campaign became a topic. The question is, where are we at now? Where we need to go? Is it your contention that emergency medical services in Erie County is in crisis?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely in crisis. I mean, whether you're talking about staffing, staffing is the big one. I mean, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, that's basically, we're stealing another employee from another agency, because everyone's constantly jockeying with better wages, better benefits, trying to get the small pool of people that we have to work for you. And it's challenging. I mean, we are currently right now, we're fully staffed with paramedics, which is almost unheard of. but we are. And we are working on getting fully staffed with EMTs. We have one part-time or full-time opening right now, but quite a few part-times that we're trying to fill.
How are you able to be so attractive to the paramedics?
Me?
Seriously.
No.
There you go.
No, we have really prioritized. The thing is that we have prioritized that emergency call volume over the non-emergency transports. We have a team on that does non-emergency transports that takes people from a nursing home, a hospital home to a nursing home to a doctor's office. Right. Other agencies have prioritized the transporting part of it. We have a dedicated crew that handles our transports, and that's it. So our crews are running emergencies. Our call volume's a little lower than what other areas are as well. And we have made sure that we are being more attractive as far as benefits. I mean, I'm a public school teacher at heart, so I really believe it has to be people first. You have to give your people what they need in order to have them want and be able to work for you. That means you've got to pay them livable wages. They have to have good quality healthcare benefits. There has to be a retirement plan out there for them. We need to have employee assistance when there are mental health issues that come up. And we need to be treating them as a person, not only just, an employee, but as part of a family. And that's how kind of we treat things. And we definitely work hard to make sure that we're putting that employee first over top of, as I always say, people over profits. Yeah. That's what I say all the time. And that is who we are. We are definitely people over profits.
A lot of what you talked about there is just your culture, but I want to go back to what it costs and making sure you're paying. How does that revenue stream work for you? Is this taxes?
So we are obviously a 501c3. So we are a nonprofit. We are also, our municipalities recognized, I'll be frankly honest, 18 months ago, West County Paramedics, probably maybe 2 years ago, was on the brink of bankruptcy. They were struggling to make paychecks. Unfortunately, most of your reimbursement and your income comes from insurance reimbursement, is where 90% of it comes from. And as we know, access to health care in Pennsylvania and over the country is challenging. We have people that are forced to use an ambulance to handle being able to be seen by a physician because they don't have the money to pay for a copay, or they can't go to a family care doctor or a primary care physician or urgent care because they don't have the money for a copay. But if you go to the emergency room, you're billed later. So they're using the ambulance or using the ER as a primary care doctor because they don't have the access to health care. So that's the first problem. Then the next problem comes in is that the insurance companies are paying based on the Medicare reimbursement rate. So that is pennies on the dollar of what it actually costs. And really, EMS is based on readiness. It's not based on the call that you run. It's not as though you're only having to staff when a call is run. We're not calling people in. We have to have someone there 24/7 if you need an ambulance. And we're not being paid as though that's the way that it is. So for West County Paramedics, we drilled it down and we found out that it costs $488 every time we take that ambulance out. And that doesn't matter what the call is, whether that is somebody's mother fell and needs to be lifted, whether it's a motor vehicle accident that there was no injuries at, but it's a refusal, whether that is somebody that's having chest pain or shortness of breath. It's $488 every time we pull that ambulance out. The average reimbursement from the insurance, Medicare is the primary reimburser for this area. And for a BLS call, basic life support, it's about $511. So if it costs $488 every time we pull that ambulance out and we're only getting reimbursed an average of $511, you can see where the problem is.
Yeah.
And that's,
you don't have any money for administrative or anything else.
No, and then it's
Vehicles,
on average, Medicare is about $600 reimbursement on an advanced life support call. So there's only $70, $80 more for a paramedic. And a paramedic is a lot more expensive to have and needs because we do have these high acuity calls. So that's kind of where the problem is. And I don't think that the Medicare, reimbursement rates haven't changed much. They've not gone up with inflation. They have stayed at a low rate. Commercial insurances are all about making money. They're not about what's taking care of, they're people that are paying for the insurance. You're paying for something you hope you never need. So that's kind of why we're struggling the way that we are. Wages are notoriously low for this. We're not treated like the police. We're not treated like the paid firemen, whereas they are government employees. They are City of Erie employees or they're Mill Creek Township employees, and they're eligible for, the pensions and the lower cost health care and those kind of things. Because you're a 501c3, you're on your own. And if you're a small 501c3, it makes it challenging because you're not eligible to participate in like large insurance plans because you're small. So the rates that you're able to get for your employees is higher. The coverage is less. It's just a whole mixed bag of mess is what it is that really makes this challenging.
But isn't, again, I don't mean to keep comparing companies, but the model that Mill Creek took with MPS and now MFD, you know, it's all a paid model. Is it not a union shop on both those places?
No, Mill Creek Paramedic Service is a 501c3. They're not employed by Mill Creek Township, whereas the firemen are. Yeah, they are a 501c3. Now, I don't know if they get reimbursement. West County is a little bit different. Our municipalities came together 18 months ago and made the decision that without putting a per capita tax in, that it was not going to be sustainable for West County to continue the way that it was. So they do a per capita tax. If you're only getting BLS service from us, basic life support, it's so much. If you're getting advanced life support, it's so much. And it works out to, if you do ALS and BLS, it's $12 per taxpayer is what it is.
That basically you are charging the townships who's turning around and maybe charging that tax.
Right, whether it's an EMS tax or if it's, through their, through whatever funds they have. Even though it's only 12% of our budget, it's guaranteed that it's going to be there.
Yeah.
And if we find that we need more, we're able to go back and negotiate with those municipalities. I mean,
it's kind of that difference maker of whether you go under,
correct,
or that you're able to pay your bills.
Correct.
Sounds like.
Yeah, without the municipal support.
Can you imagine what your diesel bill is these days?
Yeah, we know it is. We're lucky that Fairview Township does provide us. We have to pay for the gas at the municipal rate. So, but it's still. It's a lot right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Those are very large trucks that are ambulances.
And they don't get very many miles to a gallon.
No.
Not at all.
At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
Looking for amazing finds and incredible deals? Visit Erie City Mission Thrift today. From stylish clothes and shoes to quality furniture and home goods, you'll discover something new each time while changing lives right here in Erie. It's shopping that feels good and does good. Come see us in Erie and Girard. Erie City Mission Thrift. Thrift with a purpose.
All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, East 5th, next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
Jamie Snider, the Executive Director of West County Paramedics, which is a nonprofit regional EMS agency serving Western Erie County. And Jamie, you're kind of giving us kind of the up-to-the-minute situation where we're at with EMS. So let's start going to the solution side, maybe. Are we clear to understand that that the days of a volunteer, basic life support or even paramedic, those are gone?
I mean, they're definitely dwindling. I mean, if you look across, especially Erie County, it's very, very few agencies that are running, most of their calls as a volunteer agency without paid service without paid staff. There's very few. I know Greenfield does a great job out towards Northeast Way of running their calls as a
and again,
volunteer.
We hear about them. I mean, it's such an exemplary situation that you hear about it.
Yeah, but for most of in order to be successful with it, in order to really cover those calls, a lot of people have gone and put paid staff on. East County wise, they have. Our area, like we said, has decided to just kind of go ahead and roll that ambulance service over to us and let us take it over. And without that, I mean, it's really difficult to, provide that staffing.
Wow. The you mentioned here in your notes that there needs to be some public policy wrangling with this. Now, didn't Governor Shapiro put up EMS as kind of a priority in his budgets?
Yeah, there has, and there's supposed to be I think $193 million that's going to be coming to Pennsylvania rural EMS, but no one knows what it looks like yet and what's going to happen. I was on a webinar last week trying to find out how do you apply for this, what's it going to look like, what's it going towards, and to be honest, the person that offered the webinar said we just absolutely don't know right now. They gave us some websites and said, sign up for updates as it comes through, but they don't really have a real clear picture right now how to apply, what it's going to look like. They're starting to kind of get an outline of where they're going to put money, but it's very vague at this point. So they're still just trying to figure out what it's going to look like.
Let's talk funding models here. I'm acquainted where you go and you pay, your little $20 or $30 or $50 to the local fire department. That's, or you go to the chicken dinner.
Right.
This is something totally different,
Yep.
right? Can you describe this?
Yeah, we do. For us, we have a membership drive. That's one of our big things, and where we offer 50% off of an emergency transport. If you pay the family, that's part of it. But what we're talking about is more of a municipal funding. Where we are now compensated like police and the paid fire department, where the municipalities are supporting that EMS service, and that's what our municipalities came together and did. And it has been a lifesaver for us. They have invested in us. They recognize that it is their responsibility to assure that there's fire and EMS coverage for their municipality. And they have put money in to make sure that happens. And that's really what needs to happen. The municipalities need to start, saying, okay, that is our responsibility. We are responsible by law to provide fire and EMS coverage for our constituents. We have to assure that happens. And that means that we're going to have to start putting money in towards that instead of relying on that volunteer model as that they have for years. They've relied on the volunteers to provide EMS coverage, and fire coverage. And it just isn't there anymore. And it's no one's fault. It's just the change in culture. It's the change in society. I mean, it's a change in finance. It just is as it is. So it needs to happen. A lot of our, in order for us to get ambulance, we have to get them from grants. A new ambulance right now is about $300,000 for an ambulance. And that doesn't include any of the equipment that's in it. That's just the ambulance itself. And there is a wait time on getting an ambulance right now. We're still dealing with post-COVID production issues. We got one new ambulance that had been on order for over almost a year by the time we finally got it. And it was supposed to have been delivered in a couple months. And that was what they call a demo. It was off the line, preset with no specialty order. It took us nearly a year to get because of the fact that it was back ordered.
I'm hearing that there's some consolidation happening too when it comes to emergency equipment. Like that there's only one or two companies that make fire trucks, and there's just a few that make ambulances.
Right.
And that's putting price pressures on the equipment costs that are more market-based rather than what it really costs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at equipment. I mean, the equipment we carry, we have what's called a Lucas device, which is an automatic CPR. We only run crews of 2. In the middle of the night, you cannot guarantee that you're going to get help. If somebody goes into sudden cardiac arrest, we have what's called the Lucas. It's automatic CPR device. It puts on, it's able to do reliable and stable compressions. It allows us to be able to get that person out of the house and be able to do the ALS and BLS interventions we need without worrying about doing CPR. They run about $25,000 for one equipment. That's it. And we just recently accidentally slammed a charging cord in a door and broke it. $500 to replace the charging cord.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. So it's the equipment's not with the economy is the way that it is. The equipment is just going up and up and up. Gas prices are going up and up and up. Insurance reimbursements are staying the same. It just is putting us in a really difficult position. I mean, what needs to happen is we need to be regionalizing EMS and fire resources. Instead of every single person having their own, it almost needs to be where we're starting to combine resources and more.
Isn't that though where people stop listening to you when you talk about regional EMS?
Yes, they do, because we want to keep it the way that it always is. We've always done it this way. This is the way we need to do it. And I think that's challenging. That's one of our biggest things with EMS is that EMS has been around so long and we've always done it one particular way. And it makes it really difficult because people want to hold on to that. This is the way we've always done it. It's always worked. Well, times have changed. We need to start looking at, things are not the way they were 5 years ago. They're not the way they were 10. We need to start making big, bold changes that are going to may or may not work, but we've got to do something different than holding on to what isn't working anymore.
What do you think the positive changes would happen? Let's say if a regional EMS was adopted in Erie County, and we're talking about including the city, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'd be sharing resources. I mean, we look at with where we are in West County right now. We are the regional EMS provider for Western Erie County. And I'm not saying like regional everywhere. I mean, I'm just saying that what would make more sense is instead of us having all these little pockets of areas, it might make sense to have a Western Erie County, an Eastern Erie County, Emergent Care City, and then Southern Erie County, which covered, Edinboro and all that. And maybe instead of us having...
So still some different organizations,
right,
but not
still
so
having,
many.
Instead of having 10, maybe having 4 that are able to do it better all at once would make a little bit more sense.
Well, that doesn't seem like that would be that much of a hard lift.
You would think, but you've got to have, everybody has to come together and kind of, make that decision to be able to see the, the greater good. We have seen with the regional on our end, we have improved response times. We have improved patient outcome because we are on 24/7. We are there 24/7. We are awake 24/7 versus before when you're calling in 911 at 3:00 in the morning, somebody has to get up. They have to get dressed. They have to go to the fire department. They have to get the ambulance out. They have to wait for somebody else to go. We're there. We're ready to go. And we're running out the door. And that does help. And that is not in any way a negative towards the volunteer fire department because God love them, because without them, we would not be where we were all this time. And we sure appreciate in the middle of the night when we call for help that they come. But it's just, we've kind of adapted over that now where we need to start to be able to be a little bit more, I don't want to say professional because that's not the right word, but be able to get out the door immediately because
the lower response times.
Right. I mean, the lower response times helps everyone. The faster we can get you taken care of. And really as paramedics, we are like a mobile emergency room now. On a lot of things, everything they can do for you in the emergency room, we can do on the ambulance. We are carrying advanced cardiac medications. We can synchronize cardio to someone who has a dysrhythmia. We can, give IVs. We can, if we can't get an IV, we're able to do an interosseous, which drills into the bone and provide IV medications that way. But paramedicine has continued to evolve into where, like I said, we are really a mobile ER is what we are. Wow. So, and it's amazing the level of knowledge that you need to have as a paramedic now, because you are relying on instinct versus being in a hospital with diagnostic equipment. You have a very little amount, and you have to know, what's going on with that patient by pathophysiology, and so it really requires the best of the best. So
we've been talking about West County because that's what you run, but I'm interested what's going on in the Corey southeastern corner. What do you hear from Corey?
I think that from what I had heard is
they have paid EMS.
I'm not 100%. I'm not. I know Emergent Care was down in that area helping, and I know there's been some changes, and I know that they have a South County commission right now, and that was going on with the last county executive. They were in the process of trying to come up with, they were doing studies and they were doing basic plans on how to get South County up to where it needed to be to more of like a regional EMS. And I know that was with County Executive Davis and Jessica Horan and John Grappy. They were working very diligently before the change. Now, I assume that County Executive Vogel will probably pick that up once she gets her feet completely under her. I mean, she's taken over a lot in a very short period of time. So I would assume that those talks will still continue to go on and see where they're. I know we have been reached out to, and they had asked questions of how we were doing things. And same thing with East County. We had there were some questions that were asked, and they were using us kind of as a model to help East County get where they were. And
we heard about that, that East County was adopting a lot of the same model. Do Is there such a thing as an Erie County EMS summit that happens on a yearly basis? Do the major players get together and share notes?
We do have a monthly meeting at the 911 center, and it's an interagency council that's on where we all get together once a month, and we kind of adopt like mass casualty plans. We actually, when you were talking about the call stacking that was going on, that when you called for an ambulance, if it is a lesser acuity call and there is no available resources, you could feasibly be waiting up to 20 plus minutes for an ambulance to be dispatched. That came out of that EMS summit, and a way to try to mitigate some of the fact that we don't have enough ambulances for the amount of calls. More so the city, we don't see that out our way. We have less than 1% what they call turned call. And that means turn calls are, you've been dispatched, you have completely depleted all of your resources. So we are very, very low. We're less than 1%. On average, we run 300 to 400 calls a month. We're turning less than 4 where we can. And that just means at that moment when you called for 911, all 4, 5, 3, whatever ambulances we have on, we're out. So we're not seeing that the way other people are. But that call stacking was kind of to address the other areas where staffing, was more of an issue. City of Erie, Mill Creek, holding those lower acuity calls to try to help and preserve resources for people that were in an acute distress.
Talking to Jamie Snider here from West County Paramedics. Let's get to some even kind of more macro solutions here. They're about to open up the center, the medical center at Erie County Community College. It seems like the community college could be a great pathway for getting more young people involved in emergency services. What do you think?
We need to be reaching out to kids in high school. And we need to be able to
does a VOTEC have anything like this?
They used to have an EMT class, but I don't think they do anymore.
Okay.
You have to be 18 years old in order to take the National Registry. So that's part of it, the National Registry that came in. Before, you could just take the PA EMT class, and then, at 18, 16, you could take your license. Now that National Registry's in, you have to wait till you're 18 to take that test, and you have to be nationally registered in Pennsylvania to be an EMT. The community college, the problem is we need more programs we need more EMS programs. Emergent Care has the only paramedic program in Erie County, the only one. The next closest is Penn State and IUP. So if you can't get into the Emergent Care program, you have to drive. We're sending actually right now 5 or 6 people down to IUP.
Is that a bachelor's degree? Or
it is not. No, and that's the other thing. They don't even get an associate's for it. Yeah,
they don't.
They do not. It's about 12 to 14 months program, but they don't get. So you can apply college credit for it, but it's not a degree program. It used to be years ago, but not anymore.
Well, you also mentioned costs to get the license and so on.
It's expensive.
I thought there were people that were providing grants for that.
The Erie County did. Under Executive Davis, they did come up with a grant program, and actually I am a benefactor of that. I would not have become a paramedic had it not been for that program. The Erie Community Foundation offered scholarships for advanced EMT and paramedic, where you paid nothing as long as you lived in the city or the Erie County. You applied and you promised EMS service for 2 years. They paid 100% of your education. So that has now continued. The County of Erie has now taken that over from Erie Community Foundation, and they are providing. And actually, 4 of our 6 that are going to paramedic class right now are benefactors of that program. And because they live in Erie County, the other 2 do not. That's the only reason why they weren't eligible. But they didn't have to pay a thing for class. The County of Erie paid for all of it, which is huge. And that is a huge step in the right direction. They needed to do that, because these people do not, at the wages they are, they can't afford it. It can cost up to $18,000 to get your paramedic license.
Wow.
Which is a lot of money for somebody that's
sure
making
is.
$22 an hour. That's difficult.
Well, let's talk about that then. Let's talk about wages. Again, it sounds like you have a great culture at West County, but you also pay well.
I would say nowhere near what they should be paid.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to be paid a lot more for what they do.
So what are ranges here? Because again, you're dealing with somebody's life, especially when you're a paramedic.
When I took over 18 months ago, the EMTs were making $17 an hour. is what they were making.
So that's Hobby Lobby money.
Right.
Or Target money.
Yeah, our up to starting now, we're 21, 25 with no experience, but then we go up from there if you've got experience. Our paramedics, when I took over, they had just gotten a raise to 24. They had been 19 right before that. They're now up to 26.
Your paramedics are $26? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And
Okay,
experience
it's $52,000 a year. I mean, that's pretty good. It's below Erie County household income wages.
Right, and we're below the national average as well.
Yeah, what even Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
What does a paramedic make in PA?
It varies. I mean,
Is it in the 60s usually?
It's there between 25 and 27 is where Erie is. Yeah, I mean, but you look out in Las Vegas and California, it's $35-$40 an hour.
Right,
But their cost of living's a lot higher too. So yeah, I mean, we're not that far off. I mean, we have tried to stay above the industry where we're at to attract. And we would love to pay them a lot more.
Is the state weighing in on any of that?
No, not at this point. We've not heard anything from that. I mean, they know there's a crisis, but there's, I mean, we need.
Well, and it's mixed in with all the other crises, right?
Correct.
Personal care assistance, right? I mean, you think about all the things that are human on human interaction, and they seem to be some of the lowest paid things.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, I mean, even to go to a nursing home, and we always have trouble with EMS with nursing homes and being called constantly for things that really aren't an emergency. But if you're looking at the staffing that's there, most of them right now are not, used to be like Pleasant Ridge Manor. You had your own certified nursing assistants and they were there and they paid well and they, you had these people that were lifers. That's not the case anymore. A lot of times they're using agencies, like staffing agencies, to cover, and you can tell because they're in different color scrubs than the staffing. And there's definitely a difference in when they're using a staffing agency, that person may not work there all the time. It may be just filling in for that day, so they don't know that resident is versus somebody that's there all the time. So it makes it really challenging, for them too. There's a lot of facets that, healthcare is the bottom line of all of this, and we as a state and as a nation have got to figure out how we are going to get people access to healthcare. I mean, we're looking right now at starting a community paramedicine program out in West County. I was nominated as one of the women making history for the Mercy Center, and I was surrounded by women that were making such just a substantial difference in the community, and I left there just humbled at I'm not doing enough. Like, we need to do more for our residents of Western Erie County than we are. And we are definitely looking into trying to start a community paramedicine program out there so that we are maybe able to tackle some of these issues where people are calling the ambulance repeatedly for things that maybe don't need to go to the hospital but could be treated in place. Also, people that have been discharged from the hospital, maybe they don't qualify for a home health nurse but could use somebody to come in and check their medications and things. And I think of my own father. He had a stroke on my birthday last year. And thank God he was able to, and he allowed me to let him move in with me for a short period of time. But I think about how confusing that was for him. He had all these new medications that he had never been on before. And just recently, he's on Plavix, obviously, for the stroke, which is an anticoagulant. And he is having trouble with his knees. So he went to the store and picked himself up some Motrin. Well, you can't take Motrin and Plavix together because they're both both are thin your blood.
They're NSAIDs, yeah.
Right, and so it's that kind of thing. I mean, and I see that with my own father, who's got me as a resource, who's checking on him incessantly. These other people, what do they have? If they need the resources and somebody to be able to age in place, they need to be able to get those to be taken care of at home. And that's what we're looking at to see if we can maybe make a difference that way, which would then in the long run save money for the emergency rooms, save money for the taxpayers and insurance company by trying to treat some of these people where they're at and see if we can get better access to health care for people in our community. So that's kind of my next tenet of where I'd like this to go.
This is going to sound political, but I'm going to say it anyway. Again, if we were to put even a quarter of the emphasis that we did over COVID toward what seems to be an insolvable problem of emergency medical services, we could probably solve the problem.
Probably.
With a quarter of the emphasis.
Yeah, I mean, if we could
this is a public health
crisis.
issue.
It really
public
is,
health crisis.
I mean, if we could get first and foremost, they need to start talking to Medicare, Medicaid, the insurance companies, and get that reimbursement up to where it needs to be. I mean, that's the first problem. We also need to be looking at how EMS is funded, and it needs to be funded more like we're doing police and fire, and not as an afterthought. We're, like we said, we need to be paid for readiness, not only when we're on a call, because we do have to be there 24/7, just like the other agencies are, but we're not treated that way.
So this is a conversation for your county council person, Ellen Schulman, right?
Oh, I love Ellen. She's fantastic.
And you got Charlie Bale, who represents the West County in the state, in the state house, and of course Dan Laughlin in the state senate.
Yeah,
right?
we've been having conversations with. I just actually had a conversation with Senator Laughlin's aide just the other day about funding and things like that, and we've been making a lot of connections with people in the state to try to get our voice heard. So farther down it's hard because we're way up here, and they're down there. So that's the hope that we can get this in front of people.
Well, Jamie, I hope that you'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
And let us know if we're moving the needle at all here. I feel like even for County Executive Vogel to bring up EMS as a significant topic in our chat last week shows me that this is really high on her radar.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. And I actually have a meeting with her on Friday. We're having a little coffee chat, so I'm excited to kind of talk to her about that and see how I can help support that effort going forward, with the knowledge that we have from West County.
More to come. Jamie Snider, the Executive Director of West County Paramedics. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.